Generation explained in 9 minutes by Pink Guy. So I was just thinking, man, like, what's all the generations? Because I know I'm Gen Z. I don't know. I ain't know the generations. As I see them right here: Silent, Greatest, Boomer, Alpha, Zoomer, Gen X. I don't see Gen Z. But I'm just seeing them and stuff. I just wonder what the hell is. I ain't mean to cuss. I just wonder what the generations is. So let's get into it. My bad, I can't see y'all chat. I cannot see y'all chat. Before we get into this, hold on, let me pull y'all up. Let me pull y'all up. Gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. If y'all typing in here, I'm sorry, I cannot see. Repeat, I cannot see. Hold on, give me like 3 seconds, chat. Give me like 3 seconds. I think it's this one. Let's see. It is this one. Jab, what up? What up, Jab? What's good, my boy? Make sure you can hear everything. Hold on. You can hear everything, Jab? You can hear everything, Jab? I like how for the iPad in his face. You can hear everything, Jab? Yeah. Snow, what up? Snow, what up? We getting into it. Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Snow, what's up? How you been? How have you been? Echoing? Is it still echoing? It shouldn't be echoing no more. We should be good. I've been cool. No, good. Alright, we getting into the video. Keep doing that. I've been great. I can't lie. But we about to get into this. We're about to study. About to study up. Everybody go crazy.
The Lost Generation. Despite taking place over 100 years ago, the Lost Generation has many similarities to today. Growing up as a young man or woman in this time period, you were met with war, a pandemic, harsh economic times, and changing social conditions.
What's good, my boy Camden? Everybody, we're about to learn. Hold on, my bad. Let me refix that. We're about to learn the generations. All the generations, man. What the hell? I don't know why I paused it right here, but we're going crazy.
World War I was brutal for this generation. More than 70 million people were mobilized, 8.5 million were killed, 21 million were wounded, and 2 million soldiers died of disease. Speaking of disease, the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1920 was also not merciful, with some reports estimating 17 to 50 million deaths worldwide, and other reports claiming as high as 100 million. After the war and the pandemic, the world experienced economic turmoil, leading to the Great Depression in the 1930s. Resulting in high unemployment rates, poverty, and a general sense of hopelessness. Popular culture began to rise in the form of early cinema and magazines.
So this is like your grandma, your great-grandma's generation. My bad, I ain't mean to be funny about that. I was thinking of my great-great-grandma. This is... Yup.
As people searched for a distraction from the bleak life they were presented with, women gained the right to vote in 1920, and new employment opportunities for unmarried women widened, as many women were left widows due to the war. This era saw the rise of a new type of young woman in pop culture known as the flapper, known for being rebellious against previous social norms and featuring a more reckless and party-going attitude. Today, the Lost Generation is remembered for their resilience and being able to survive a harsh and difficult time period, and some say it could provide insight into modern or future time periods. The Greatest Generation. This generation is all...
the greatest generation. So this is like my Pap's generation right here. This is when like he's, oh, that's crazy. I told you I would never miss a stream. God, I like to hear that. My dog, that's my dog right there. That's my dog.
Also known as the World War II generation, and is remembered for its heroism and technological innovation and prosperity. The youth during this time would grow up with many inventions becoming popular and normalized, like the radio, telephone, and automobile. It was a major time period for culture and entertainment in America. Literature, arts, music, and cinema flourished during this time period. As the golden age of Hollywood began, and gangster films, music films, comedy films, and monster films became extremely popular and gathered massive audiences. It was also the advent of comic books, as huge franchises like Superman and Batman began. In the music industry, jazz, blues, gospel music, folk music, and swing jazz all became large genres.
So, oh, that's why my Pap loved jazz and all that. It's just in his generation. See? When you study and stuff, you get to understand your people. Like, come on now.
The rise of the radio influenced many Americans during this time period, as millions would tune in and listen to President Roosevelt's famous fireside chats and learn about the news in an exciting way. 16 million Americans served in World War II, the majority being members from the greatest...
16 million? My bad, I don't mean to pause it too much, but 16 million.
Generation. 38.8% were volunteers, 61.2% were draftees, and would serve the average length of 33 months. There were approximately 671,000 casualties in the United States. As of 2023, almost 120,000 of the Americans who served in this war are still alive today. The Silent Generation. The Silent Generation grew up with their parents both witnessing the fall of Nazism and the rise of their new enemy in the era, communism. When the children of this era began coming of age after World War II, they were faced with a devastated social order following World War II, as the Soviet Union betrayed America's post-war agreements and the global powers would face off for the next 50 years. Unlike the previous generations who had fought for changing the system, the Silent Generation...
So look, hold on, I think that agreement's coming up. Agreements... So that's why we're beefing right now. That's why we're beefing. The Silent Generation. That's all them also. No, let me chill out. That's what they're fighting for, but...
Generation was about working within the system, keeping their heads down and working hard. They were heavily influenced by the golden age of radio, the rise of trade unions, the development of transatlantic flight, and the discovery of penicillin during their formative years. Silents tended to marry and have children young, and their attitude of taking no chances would become criticized by future, more radical generations, such as baby boomers. Finally we talk about the boomers. Possibly the most famous modern birth generation and one of the most active time periods in American history, the boomers of the 40s, 50s, and 60s were known for their ridiculously high birth rates. With 76 million births taking place during this time period, this was due to a strong post-war economy in which Americans felt confident they would be able to support a large number of children. Boomers influenced the economy as the core marketing demographic for products tied to their age group, from toys to records. On top of this, many items previously deemed luxurious, such as laundry machines, the dishwasher, the refrigerator, and the telephone, entered mass production for the average consumer, and the average American could live like the upper class from the previous generation. Technological advances made before, during, and after the war, such as plastics, television, magnetic tape, transistors, integrated circuits, and...
So it's like after the war, he said. Jad, I need you to hit me with a dub spam. I need you to hit me with some dubs, man. Hit me with some W's in the chat. But, this is before the war. Chat. This is before the war. This is crazy.
Lasers
I mean, after the war. I'm sorry, after the war.
Tremendous improvements in the typical standard of living. With this extended period of optimism came a cultural rush, especially in the music industry, where the Beatles, Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, and many other artists and bands all became extremely popular. Not everything was sunshine and rainbows, of course, as it was a time period where major political discussion around topics like the sexual revolution, civil rights, nuclear weaponry, ethnocultural diversity, and environmental protection all became popular and heavily debated. This was because this generation was a lot more radical. Many people during this time had different perspectives, and a lot of them favored more left-leaning social causes in almost every direction, strongly opposing existing conservative traditionalist thinking that plenty of others still had. Many of these major political disagreements resulted in protests that were becoming increasingly violent, especially as the Vietnam War lingered on and on. The United States would slowly become more divided, and government distrust would rise in the following generations. Generation X. This generation is often called the latchkey generation, which stems from the children of this generation returning from school to an empty home and needing to use a door key to let themselves in, as a result of living in an era of a lot of free-range parenting, increasing divorce rates, increased maternal participation in the workforce, and widespread availability of childcare options outside the home. Young adults of this time period were dubbed the MTV generation, sometimes characterized as slackers, cynical, and disaffected. The baby boom era of the last generation was met with declining birth rates during this generation.
Cam did good, man. Jack, Cam did cool. He's just following your lead.
The birth control bill being introduced in 1960 and abortion being legalized in 1973. However, demographic changes brought by the 1965 Immigration Act partially offset the declining birth rates from Americans already living there and contributed to making Gen X in America more culturally and ethnically diverse than America had ever been. Gen X music saw many alternative rock, hip-hop, punk, post-punk, and heavy metal bands rise in popularity. Technological innovation boomed during this time period, with the rise of home computing from manufacturers like Apple, Commodore, and Atari taken to the scene with their offerings. Video games became a booming industry during the 1970s and 1980s, with arcades becoming widely successful across the country, and Nintendo and Atari introducing home consoles. Compared to boomers, Gen Xers were far more educated as enrollment in college was way more popular. Individualism and entrepreneurialism became one of the most defining traits with Gen X, as the collective generation would go on to produce Google, Wikipedia, Amazon, and YouTube towards the 90s and early 2000s.
I'm not a part of Gen X, so don't think that. I'm not that old. But, hey, we got Google, Amazon, Wikipedia, and YouTube from that. I'm low-key hyped.
Generation Y, Millennials. Millennials were the first generation to grow up with the internet, mobile technology, and social media. They are commonly described as the first global generation.
See, I thought I was. 1981 to 1996. This wild times, huh? Niggas just got phones. They just got the internet. They don't know how to work it. Imagine that, yo. Just imagine that. Imagine being born in this generation Y. Millenniums? I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. It's a hit year. It definitely was, huh? 1980? Yeah, it definitely was, huh?
Being connected to the entire world. However, they are also described as the unluckiest generation due to their average and slower economic growth since entering the workforce than any other generation in history, as well as them being weighed down by student debt and child care costs. Millennials were born at a time of declining fertility rates around the world and are having fewer children than their predecessors. Young people of the 2010s were often criticized for having less sexual intercourse compared to their predecessors when they were the same age. In 2010, the unemployment rate in the United States reached a record low at 19%, and these economic difficulties have led to a dramatic increase in youth poverty, unemployment, and a large number of them living with their parents. Millennials are also less likely to be religious than their predecessors, though many identify as spiritual. Millennials experienced 9/11, which changed American culture and began the war on terrorism. That's not just...
They experienced 9/11. Imagine that, yo. I remember my teacher telling me that. My teacher told me, had a phone call, whatever. But no, imagine being in New York at that time. No, it's all different.
It's all bad for them, however, as they are often characterized for their digital fluency, diverse perspectives, and a strong sense of social consciousness, due to them being...
Like, that's your generation you do it. That's the generation, like, that's wild.
Born in a time period where global news and information can be retrieved in seconds. Millennials are very active socially and politically, and not afraid to use their voice. And despite the previously mentioned economic troubles they face, more than 8 in 10 feel confident in their finances, which is representative of their generally positive outlook in a more complicated world. Generation Z, Zoomers. Zoomers are not that much different from millennials.
Zoomers, okay. Gen Z, Zoomer. That's what it's called. See, I'm a Zoomer. I didn't know that. 1997 to 2012. 2012. 2012 is when it went all crazy. It's all crazy. Hold on, I'm gonna read the comments in a second.
millennials, but there are some key differences. While millennials were exposed to the internet and smartphones during their formative years and witnessed the entire world change, being forced to adapt to it too quickly, Zoomers were born into it. People born during this time period have grown up with the rise of social justice movements, a vicious new form of American politics with the rise of Donald Trump, the Black Lives Matter protests, a new pandemic, and lockdowns that prevented most of them from experiencing a large part of their high school or college lives. On top of that, there's an ever-growing attention and dopamine economy with apps like YouTube and more recently TikTok transforming not just how information is consumed, but their algorithms also transforming what information is sent out to the public. Even something as simple and stupid as memes, which were started by millennials as jokes, have become tools to spread and popularize ideas.
So, hold on now. What's good, little bro? Hold on now. So, let me get this straight. We just consume each generation from back. Like, we just take a little piece off and then add on to our sauce. My opinion. This is my opinion. Because every generation is low-key the same if you think about it. Just a little bit mixed up in the sauce. That's what I'm getting off this
Individualism
video.
defines the Zoomer spirit, as they have once again returned to the entrepreneurial spirit of Gen X because of the internet. And freelancing and gig economy work is transforming
Xavier,
how jobs
what's
are
good?
run, while the pandemic transformed where jobs are run, at home rather than in office. Social media trends influence culture in a much different way than before, because individuals are now just as capable of getting attention as traditional media and the financially backed entertainment industry, leading to jobs like social media content creation and influencers being the most wanted job, above traditional work. Zoomers also grew up with SpongeBob, which defined culture more than really anything else in the last century.
SpongeBob.
Generation Alpha. Not much.
Hold on, before we get into Generation Alpha, bro. 2020 to 2026. Never mind, 2023. Yeah, it is still going. It's still going. It is current. So, what we're telling me, I'm alpha, you're a consumer, bro. You're a consumer. What I'm about to say might hurt you, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you. Yes, Xavier, I do remember you. I can't even say it. Let's just get back into the video.
Is known about what will happen to Gen Alpha, who is currently being raised mostly by millennials, as it's hard to predict what the future will bring. Described by some as the pandemic generation.
Nah, that's exactly what I was just about to say. Y'all being manipulated by millennials. Wix was good.
They experience everything about the pandemic as young children, and are growing up in a world dominated by changes in their education and entertainment due to technology. Many talk about the pandemic of iPad kids, as this generation spends less time with their parents on average than previous generations, instead living independently and self-directed, growing up with a now 20-year-old version of the internet. Many will experience young adulthood in the 2030s, and are expected by the United Nations to have an average lifespan of 83 years across the world. Problems that they are predicted to face are mental health issues, misinformation, and polarization. It is hard to tell what the future will bring for them.
You haven't listened, you type it in.
And that's it, y'all. We got to add. All good, bro. Y'all like this video, man? Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below your generation. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace. I had to make a little outro real quick, chat. But I'm off here. Love all y'all, man. Y'all catch me later or tomorrow. But peace. Snow, go ahead and text me. I'm sorry I ain't been texting you. I got work later though. So, if anything, just feel me. Love all y'all though.